Welcome back to the next episode of The Redeemed. This is not Chris.
Nope.
No. This is Miss, as I affectionately call her. This is Miss Andrea. Tell them a little bit about you. How do we know each other, Miss Andrea?
Know each other from church. I am Andrea Confer. I am the children's and family minister at church. And gosh, how many years have y'all been coming now?
We just passed 3.
3 years.
We just passed 3 joining the church. Like
Okay.
it showed up in my Facebook memory yesterday.
Oh, cool.
That Caleb got baptized. Me and Heather joined the church.
Oh, wow. That's
So
cool. 3 years. Wow. It's hard to believe. Yeah. So I've been the children's minister for 11 years. Well, 11. And
So like right after Pastor Clint.
Yes, actually, I was asked.
You were his first hire, maybe?
I was his first hire. I was asked in May to come on as the children's minister, just as volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
He was hired, and he came in July.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to send you to get some training because, I accepted it, but I really didn't. I hadn't done a whole lot, as far as leading the children. I mean, I'd helped out, I'd volunteered. And so he said, we'll get you some training. He said, I want to get you on staff. So I was part-time. I grant you, I've been at Cedarwood about 26 years.
So you were now not getting in too deep with the history of Cedarwood, but Cedarwood was born like many churches off of a church split.
Right. That was before me.
Okay. So what was the gap? Because Cedarwood's only been, like you're saying, 26 years. Cedarwood's only been a few more years.
Like
Ron was there, right?
Not at the very beginning.
No. Okay.
No. So Cedarwood started in 96 from the split. Ron, I think, was invited by David Heim. He was one of the originals. And
David had an Allen, or the 2 hanger-ons, right? They're the ones.
Yes. Allen. Is there anybody else that's still there that's an original? Marshall, his brother-in-law.
Okay.
That's probably about it, because most of them have passed away or have gone to some other.
So you'd been in the church for, at that point, just short math, 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And regime change.
Mm-hmm.
The old pastor, and not for no other reason than he retired.
Right. He was retiring because he was intended to be just part-time because of his mission work. And we were needing a full-time pastor at that point. And his wife had done more of the children's ministry. So actually Alan.
So there we go. So that's what opened it up.
Yes. Yeah. And Alan was the one who's like, hey, can we go to lunch one day? And I'm like, sure. And I told Ron, I was like, I think I know why Alan's asked me to go to lunch. I said, I think he's going to ask me to take over the children's ministry. And he's like, well, what do you think? I was like, I've been thinking about it. And I was like, I think I'm supposed to take it.
Yeah. So
I'm going to tell him yes.
What role were you playing prior to this conversation with Alan? Were you volunteering in children's ministry?
I volunteered some with children's ministry. I directed one of the first VBS we ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And that was before I was in my position. Ron and I were both in the choir. Ron had already been a deacon at that point because he didn't have to be ordained when he was voted in this past year. So he had been a deacon. We were both in the choir. He did the bulletin, which now I do.
Yeah.
So we were heavily involved in volunteering and stuff.
Yeah, I would have a hard time thinking you were just an attender.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then being offered to asked to take that on. So Alan has always had a serious. I say serious. I don't want it to sound like a negative connotation. Alan has always had an affection for the church. You always feel like he that is his place, man.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like,
he was very passionate about why they broke off and what they were looking for. And yes,
yeah, he has been in every story that you hear about the formation of the church or the transitions of the church. Alan is right there.
Right. He was part of the search committee that brought on Pastor Clint.
Yeah. Trained Christine as the transition to be as our dear friend and praise leader now.
Yes. Because she had never done like the choir part of it, because she did that for a while too, the choir and the band, and yes.
So it's seriously funny about how we came to the church, or not how, but more the timing, which we know that Mac Jones officiated mine and Heather's wedding, and he did the counseling at Cedarwood, and that's how we came to Cedarwood. You always want to be in the show, man. You always want to be in the show.
Okay.
Yeah. But we came and we had no idea what was going on at the time. That's at the point where there was a gap in the music, and but just a few months after we're there, there not a major, but there's some key figures that decide to do something else, and it leaves this gap,
Mm-hmm.
for me and Heather to start helping. And then like Chris and Caitlin started in that
Mm-hmm.
same ballpark,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and it was like, God's like, hey man, I know what I'm doing. You just listen,
Mm-hmm.
just pay attention. So you come into the children and family ministry into that ballpark. Um, where and that's what you're volunteering in before. Is that something that just felt natural? Is it something you had to work into? I feel like if I was going to be a children's minister, I would have to very much grow into that. I feel I
Mm-hmm.
would be better suited right now to be a senior pastor
Right.
over 1 million adults than in 3 children in a children's ministry. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe it can be that dynamic. I believe it can be that different.
Yes. Well, yeah, I think I had never I never like really taught. Well, I had been asked when I was in college and took Japanese as my foreign language to like teach a few hours at a school one time and stuff. So I mean, I've been around kids, but it's not like I worked in a daycare. But I had, we had Durst by that time, and so I had that investment there too. Which we were bringing him up at home, and it's like okay. And I saw where there were some changes that were kind of needed, and some curriculum and things like that. Some things that were
Mm-hmm.
repetitive, which was boring for Durst, and but yeah, I just felt called into it, and just it just felt right. And so yeah, did that, and then I just felt there was, it's been 2 years now since I graduated with my seminary degree. So probably about 4 years before that, I had seen an ad for this program to get certification in children's ministry, and so I brought that to Pastor Clint, and I said, I'm really interested in this, just to get some more under my belt to help, me, to minister to the kids and not just teach them. And I mean, that's very important in leading them to Christ, teaching them the gospel, but that there's more I can do there. And so he supported me taking that certification, and then that gave me standing at Bethel University, which is where I got my degree. And so I just felt God just was like, you need to, you have standing there now, you need to apply. You need to apply. So I'm like, I talked around, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm feeling called to do. And he's like, do what you want to do. That's what you're feeling led to do. We'll do it.
That
And
there's definitely something that will be a reoccurring theme, whether it's me and you, me, Chris. If Emma's going to get the opportunity to do one of these with me. Hopefully we get to talk to Christine is
mm-hmm,
available sometime to do one of these because is that Pastor Clint is like land of opportunities.
mm-hmm,
He is going to give opportunities. I'm not the first guy that he's given opportunities to in the path that he's taken me.
mm-hmm,
Um, Chris, right there beside
yep,
me in this. He definitely is open to giving opportunities. When
mm-hmm,
Alan was ready to retire, Clint reached out to Christine, whom he had known had been on worship team. I'm not sure her role in other places,
right.
but
But they
but
had worked together before.
yeah, he had
Yeah.
given her an opportunity. Um, so and I see you doing that. Like right
Mm-hmm,
now, my wife,
yep,
you've taken Heather. She taught a few times in the CNC class, which she did because not only was I encouraging her to, but in me needing her to help me. And but then when she started gyms, if we
mm-hmm,
didn't get anything else out of gyms, because gyms didn't do wonderful,
right.
if we got anything else out of gyms, it was Heather coming out of there knowing that she wanted to teach young people.
Mm-hmm,
You know, and going from I don't even know what to say. That was when I talked to her about sharing her faith, because I'm that guy that I've never been afraid to share my faith.
yep.
I've never been scared to like I'll you know the joke was when I went to Liberty, I said, "Babe, I've never been on that campus. I don't know anybody there." She said, "You will know everybody around you before you leave. You'll know where everybody's from. You know everything about And I'm just that guy.
That's you. Yeah.
But so she's on the other end of that. She's very polite. She's very social. She's
Mm-hmm,
the only person I've ever been with that I wasn't worried about embarrassing me in different places. Like, no, she's got it under control. I'm the one that might embarrass us. But so to see her grow in that, and to see you give her opportunities, and to take her under your wing, that's something I'm super appreciative about. And once again, God knows what He's doing. Um, because if I was to break out tomorrow and have to plant a church somewhere, the spot I can't fill, she's ready to go in.
that's right.
you
Yeah.
know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But she's
so
filled a great need for me though, because pre-COVID, I had a really good rotation of volunteers that would teach children's church, that I didn't have to be in there very often. Had assistants, so there was that second person in there. And it's just been really hard after that to have those people. Some of those have gone different directions since COVID. Just different things have happened. And so until Heather stepped up and she's like, I want to help you. You're in there all the time on Sunday mornings. And I'm like, oh, that would be great. I would love it. And when she said that, and that first Sunday that she led children's church, that was the first time I'd been in a service in 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I was always over there. And don't get me wrong, like, I love being there with the kids all the time and stuff. But
You like to go to church every now and
yeah,
then.
I need to be fed
Yeah,
too.
you
I
go to
don't,
church.
I teach Sunday school, so I'm not in a Sunday school class.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working office hours on Tuesday, so I'm not in the women's Bible study. So, I need to be fed too, and I know that.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that when we were on the security team, and I eventually took it on, um, I told them, I was like, nobody in here gets to be out of service 2 weeks in a row.
Mm.
Absolutely nobody. Um, and but you also have Caitlin helps
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yep.
Um,
Caitlin.
she's not so much, and it's about. I'm sure it's by her own. She doesn't teach a lot for you, right?
No.
But she's an eye. She's an extra hand.
Yeah, she's an extra volunteer to be there, crowd control.
Yeah.
Because Wednesday nights can get a little hairy
Yeah.
sometimes.
It's starting to feel a
They're a
little
little
set
wild.
up. Like everybody, Clint's raising me and Chris up, and he's putting our wives with you. What is it? No, that she's been there for a while
Yeah.
helping you.
Yeah, and Lynn Orvin has really stepped
Yeah,
up, and
yeah.
it's really great to see how God works. Because she's kind of a little more shy, a little more reserved, and our first night of VBS, Satan did not want VBS to happen. We had quite a few things that first night, and one of them was that the teacher she was assisting was sick. They tried to come, and I sent them home. I'm like, no, you look
Mm-hmm.
like you feel horrible. Please go home. And I think I can always combine your class with Heather's class because they were like the next
Mm-hmm.
stage up. I said they'll be fine to go together. And Lynn was like, "It's okay. I've read over everything." She said, "I can lead it tonight." And I was like 10 minutes later, I'm like, "You realize what you did, right?" I said, "What Satan meant for bad."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "God, had another plan." I said because 6 months ago you wouldn't have stepped up and said that you would
Yeah.
actually teach the class. Because when I've asked her before, it's like, okay, you let me know what you're comfortable doing. She's like, I like assisting and being here. That if you ever feel led that you want to teach some or whatever, let me know. I'm not going to just throw you in there by yourself. I'll come in there. I'll watch. I can jump in if I think we need to add a little something. I was like, I'm here to help you do what you feel God's leading you to do. And she did not hesitate that night. She's like, I've read everything. I can lead it.
Yeah.
And
There
she
you
went
go.
right in there and did it.
There we go. And let's see. So you're pouring into people. Pastor Clint's pouring into people. I try to do, the couple that I have around me. I try to make sure that they have, the college career guys.
Mm-hmm.
I try to make sure they understand that's an open floor in there. That
Yeah.
if they're going to have to do some things. Like one of the guys wanted to teach. I say, cool, you can teach. You got all week to write the sermon. Write the sermon. You have all week to go
Listen.
over the study. I said, but Saturday night you're coming in and spend time with me.
Yeah.
And I had him sitting right there, and and it wasn't that I was worried about what he would say. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's probably what he thought, but I was just, trying to stop him from falling into the teacher pitfalls.
Mm-hmm.
Like right away, what he wanted to try to do was like, um, the icebreaker question didn't make any sense to him. He's like, I'm gonna throw that out. I was like, let me tell you, see, that's why I want you here. I was like, you can throw it out if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, but that question right there that seems like it makes no sense to you, okay, is a very easy, lighthearted question that's going to get everybody in there talking. I was like, it's going to chill, it's going to take the edge off everybody. Then you can work into what you're wanting to get into.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there's things you only learn by doing it.
That's right. Yeah.
If you think you're just going to go into a Bible study or a sermon or a 6-week dissertation, and you're just going to open the door with, hey, here's some hard hitting, deep theological stuff. Paul don't even know this stuff.
And they're gonna be like, "What?"
Yeah, you're going to lose them. You're going to lose them. You're going to lose them fast.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to tear up to those things, and that's one of the things I was trying to help him with. So Chris, is I think he's going for the same degree you just completed, right?
Yes, the Children's and Family Ministry. So they've changed it a little since I graduated, and it's children, youth, and family. So you're still getting the family ministry part of it, but then you choose to concentrate more towards children or youth.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going more towards the youth because that's where he does volunteer is
Yeah.
in the youth. So he's still it's getting good background in children too, but it's
Mm-hmm.
emphasizing the youth a little more. So they've changed the program
He
up just a little.
Wherever he ends up, that place will have a very strong family oriented.
Mm-hmm.
But even if they have nothing going when he gets there,
Mm-hmm.
whether he's a senior, and you can see those things. Whether a senior pastor has the ability to set the tone. We're a very evangelical church, whether people know that or not. Pastor Clint doesn't close a prayer request without saying pray for the lost and stuff like that, and it rubs off. Ashton, our youth minister, if she says it once during her classes, she says 100 times, invite people to church, invite people to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we do things in the college. It trickles all the way down. You see that. Chris, wherever he ends up, is going to have and I'd say he may stay at Cedarwood forever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying he may not go anywhere, but he will be a contributor, a major asset to bringing in families.
Families, yes, he
You
has
know,
such a heart for that,
yeah.
and just help out any way he can.
Excuse me. Um, so what was your background? So let's take the clock all the way back.
Okay.
I'm going to I'm going to tell a little bit about mine just to give you before we get off of the church, let me put this out
Mm-hmm.
there. I've said this to a bunch of people. I think I've said it in front of you. I've definitely said it toward other people concerning you, is that Caleb picked Cedarwood. You know what I mean? We came and directly after church, oh, I love this place. This is where, and they had an active children's group where we were.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was, I was in my headspace. I was very untrusting of churches. But I knew I was supposed to be in church. I knew I wanted to grow in God. So God brought us here, and Caleb just fell in love with it. Me and Heather said, well, Southern Baptist is not really our tone,
Mm-hmm.
but if Caleb loves it, we'll, in my head, I'll do Bible studies at home. I'll get what I need on, through studies on my own. I already knew I was already preaching years back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then so Caleb comes out and he's in love with the children's ministry. So that's what I tell people all the time. I was like, Caleb chose this church. Miss Andrea brought him into this, and we stayed. You know, but he actually technically he joined the church before me and Heather did.
Because
Yeah, do you know that
he was
he
baptized
got baptized that morning, and me and Heather actually went and officially joined the church
at the end of
at
the
the
service.
service. So Caleb has been a member of Cedarwood for
Few
40,
hours.
45 minutes longer than us.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
not a few hours. Yeah, not long at all.
So to run it back, my childhood. Okay. I tell people my dad's the only hell my grandmother ever raised.
Mm-hmm.
She when she got married, started kids, she got saved, and she meant it. And old school Pentecostal style, you worked for your salvation, and it wasn't just handed over. Now, I love my grandmother; she's wrong about some things.
Right.
Um, but my dad was the easiest way to describe it. He was a cowboy that didn't live on a farm. You know what I mean? He was John Travolta, an urban cowboy. He was, in fact, the bar where most of that movie took place in Mickey Gillies. My
Mm-hmm.
dad hung out there weekly.
Oh wow.
I'm born in Houston, Texas. Um, so I was raised up to the respect, the yes sir, no sir, the walk the straight line.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as your business was handled over here you could go be a man, do what you want to do, and church was uh whenever you would show interest in church, someone would come get you.
Mm-hmm.
Is what that amounted to, and that never lasted long.
Right.
It was never we never stayed in it very long. So from 13 to 19, I didn't step foot in a church. About that ballpark, 13 to 19. And from 13 to earlier in my life, it was sporadic at best.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I knew the name Jesus. I didn't know Jesus. Was not in love with Jesus. Would have told you all along I was saved. Well, actually, no. From 13 to 19, I was fully confessing uh, atheist. I would say no, I don't believe in that. Even then, I didn't know how to define that. Just what I said. So what was your church background? If it's not too personal or
Oh,
anything
no,
like that,
no,
what was
no,
your
not at
church?
all, not
Were
at all.
did you have a drug problem? Were you drug Sunday, Wednesdays, Tuesdays
Yeah,
to church?
no, 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 no. I didn't have that, but no, my mom grew up in church, kind of like every time the doors open on Wednesday,
Yeah.
she was there. So she grew up in the church. She grew up in Decatur, Georgia, so right there, right there at the heart of Atlanta. And my grandmother, I remember. So, but yeah, so growing, I don't remember so much my younger age. I remember going some with my dad's parents to church. It wasn't a priority when I was young, I guess, with mom and dad. And my dad died when I was 9. My mom was widowed at 32. And he was 10 years older, but still very young. And so she went through a lot. So, we kind of went sporadic, but, here she is, widowed at a young age and raising a child on her own. And so it was sporadic. Uh, then more in high school and in college is when I got more back into the church and stuff. And
So everybody else went to party. You went and got
mhm,
saved.
yeah. And so it was in college when I was baptized.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always believed, what I mean. Of course, every time going to my grandma's, we'd go to church with her. And I when I think of my grandma, I picture her. She had an apartment in Decatur, and which was almost right across the street from her church. And but in her bedroom was her spot, her rocking chair and her table where her Bible was. Anytime I was visiting, she was gonna be in her chair that morning and have her Bible and
Hmm.
stuff. So that's something I, always remember that about my grandmother. Which with mom working, wasn't that far apart, 2.5, 3 hours, but we didn't get to see her as often as we would have liked, but it was close enough. We visited pretty regular. So that always sticks in my mind when I think of my grandmother. And so I was already, like I said, I was more in college, and I met Ron when I was 29. I had just kind of dated some on and off. I kind of hung out more with friends and stuff, friend groups, and it was really interesting. It was like on Focus on the Family. I heard one day, and they were interviewing. I cannot remember this guy's name. Had written a book called "I Kissed Dating Goodbye." It was
Hmm.
Josh something, and it was about how he was like he hung out with friend groups and stuff, that he wasn't really looking to date just to date. He was looking for the person he thought would be the person that God meant for him to spend his life with, and that's when he would date, to get to know that person. I was like,
Hmm.
well, that kind of sounds like me, but it wasn't like anything I thought out or planned. So I was already going to a church in Greenwood when Ron and I met, and blind date. David from church, it was his wife Paula who set up the blind date. We all three of us volunteered with uh, the program was called Host Help One Student to Succeed, a reading program at 96 Elementary, and he volunteered later in the day. I volunteered in the morning. So Paula knew us because they kind of take and run in because he didn't get home often. So he would spend some holidays and stuff with them. So he was already close with the family, and Paula was always volunteering. And I came in one day, and the ladies were kind of together, and they were like, "Are you seeing anybody?" And I'm like, "Oh, no." They're like, and it was Paula. She said, "Can I give your name and number to somebody?" I'm like, "He worked with Ron," and I'm like, "I trust you, sure." And so that was a blind date in February of '99, and so that was really, like I said, it wasn't like I had any intentions. Like I read this book and this is what I'm gonna do. It's just kind of how it worked out, and that's really the first time I dated that went out on a regular basis and stuff, and just knew that's what it was. So Ron had already been involved in Cedarwood at that point for 2 years. I think he was baptized in '97 or '98. But he'd already been going about 2 years. I was heavily involved in another church in Greenwood. It was a bigger church, so I don't say heavily involved. I attended
Yeah.
regularly. I was not a part of the choir or anything.
People don't understand the bigger churches. You think there's more spots to fill? They're filled.
Yes.
It's harder to break in.
So to begin with, I went like every other Sunday to church with Ron. Another, I went with my mom because I think she was working a job that she worked every other weekend. She's a nurse. And so her weekend off, I went to church with her. Weekend she worked, I went to work with Ron. I went to church with Ron, and eventually I just started going to Cedarwood
We're glad you did.
and joined there, and we were married in 2000.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he didn't grow up in church at all. So that's a David thing there,
Yeah.
sharing his faith with Ron and stuff.
How about that?
So yeah.
So yeah, me and Heather were dated for a year, engaged for a year, then married, and now it's been married for 3 years.
Yeah, we were.
And we came to Cedarwood about 2 months before we got married.
Yeah. So we dated 10,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're engaged for almost, for 9, almost. Yeah.
Months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
9. Yeah.
Yes.
He proposed on New Year's, the new millennium, and then we got married in September.
So someone now that's mature, as you are in your faith and stuff like that, when I look at how I count my maturity, I always double back to what were my shortcomings. People have this thing and this is what I tell them, or you're wrong. That well, if I was born this way, this must have been how God wanted me. Bro, by the time your feet hit the floor the first time, you done been exposed to this world of sin for 9 months. Just because you're in a carrier doesn't mean you wasn't exposed. You picked up some things. You know what I mean? What they say at 5 months, a baby can dance to music in the womb or whatever.
Right.
So I mean, you're exposed. I was very naturally violent. Very did not like. I had a hard time understanding it was wrong. Is how natural. Like, well, this guy made me mad, and he wanted to fight. So why are we in trouble? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, at a young age, 6, 7, 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then to to the point. Hey, what does it say? If you're not capable of violence, you're not actually a peaceful man. You're just not capable of violence. So I've found myself to be a very peaceful man now,
Yeah.
because I was very capable for a very long time. So whenever I look at something, I have to split that decision down the middle and say, it's like that portion never dies,
Right.
even though I want to just naturally respond as a man of God.
It's still there.
Yeah. So what do you judge? And that's how I judge maturity in myself. Self-control. So therefore, when I look out on people, not with a judgmental attitude, but people come to us wanting to do things, right? And we have to judge these situations. It's almost like, let me see you when your bills are tight. You know what I mean? Let me see you in traffic.
Yeah.
Let me see where the
Oop,
pressure
traffic.
when the pressure is on.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the pressure is on, who are you?
Yeah.
So self-control is a big one that I look at to see, has this person grown in Christ? Now there's more. There's more
Oh
than
yeah.
self-control. There's
Oh
love
yeah.
and there's patience, there's kindness, there's long suffering.
Mm-hmm.
But self-control is what I looked at.
Self-control,
So
self-discipline. I was talking about
yeah,
that with Caleb earlier
when
in our
you
Bible verse.
when you look out and someone's coming to help you, you're like, all right, what are you looking for mature wise? Just someone that's because you're in a more sensitive spot than any of us. You got the babies. The nursery to 5th grade is directly under you.
Yep.
So when someone comes to you and says, "Hey, and we have our protocols in place. They have to be at church for X amount of months. They have to have background checks and stuff like that."
Right.
But what do you look at? Say, okay, you've been here for 6 months, 7 months. You've had your background check. What's the next thing that you look for in this person, trait wise, that says that you're mature enough to be here?
Well, yeah, sometimes, how you might see them out in public. I did have somebody um, several years ago that was a volunteer and had started out amazing. They came in with the right attitude and stuff like that. And there was a new relationship in her life, things changed. And so I think it was that point I kind of also make sure now, because social media is such a big thing, to kind of take a look at those things too,
Mm-hmm.
because there was some stuff that was starting to come up, and I'm like, oh, this
Yeah.
this is not how we represent the church, and you can't be working with children and people seeing things like this.
We had someone not long ago posting margaritas and happy hour and parties every couple weeks, and when the leadership says something to her, you know what her response was? She deleted them on social media. She's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, you can't see it now. It must not be happening.
They were blocked.
Oh my god, no screenshot, buddy. Here you go. It's still
Yeah, I
happening.
still saw it.
Like guilty. Yeah, I was one of the guys sending them screenshots. Like, no, come on, man. That's my kid in there. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
What do
that's
you
right.
think?
Your kid was moving up in there. Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, so just really and to observe people, and then this is kind of getting off, but when you think of spiritual gifts and stuff, um, one of the first ones I took was like the Lifeway when it gets pretty in depth.
oh my
It gets
god.
into yeah. So you know what I'm talking about.
Set a day aside.
Yes, yes. So it has a lot of stuff in there, different than the spiritual gifts and the thing that we do now.
Is
But
it
this
different?
it is
Because that one
different.
takes a while too.
Yeah, this one takes a while. But there was like, oh gosh, at least 50 plus questions, and it actually kind of it doesn't go in depth as to like the your personality type and all of
DISC,
that.
so
Yeah.
so.
But it did kind of get a little more specific in the spiritual gifts, where there's
Hmm.
some that just have like 5 or 6 of like the main. But the one I scored the highest in that hasn't been on other ones I've taken before is discernment.
Hmm.
And I do see that I can there's just something about some people that have come to the church, and there's just how they interact or something they say that I can just really pick up on stuff. So that comes in really handy too for
Let's
me. With
let's
that being my spiritual gift, I think that's really good in my position because I can kind of pick up on some stuff and say like, yeah,
yeah,
that's not
gives you the
gonna
ability
be
to protect those.
yeah.
Let's
Hmm.
rabbit trail there for a second. Let's
Hmm.
rabbit trail into discernment. I think people have a wide definition of discernment, and I think part of it is that it's all of those definitions. But then I think people get it very wrong.
Hmm.
All right, for one, discernment from this part of what you just said is a gift. You're noting a spirit. You're picking up
Hmm.
on what this person is saying, and you're listening. You're discerning their words out of their face.
Hmm.
Um, the other part of discernment is you have to know the word of God.
Hmm.
You have to like that's the part. Oh, well, I have discernment in what? Like what do you have to have? This is an objective standard that you are discerning against,
Hmm.
or I don't know, maybe not against is not the right word,
Right.
but that's what you're measuring it against.
Your
That's the
standard.
measuring stick.
Hmm.
And where coming from a charismatic background, discernment to them was, uh, I'm going to know everything about you. I'm going to read your mail like Jesus did the lady at the well, and that's
Hmm.
absolutely not what discernment
Mm-mm.
is. So that is a very powerful and typically overlooked gift in the ministry because everybody wants to preach and everyone wants to teach and
Hmm.
sing and or you know they want to be Benny Hinn
Yeah,
or
right.
whatever.
I mean, there have been people that I've
Yeah.
just gotten just that vibe, that discernment, whatever, that I've gone and said to Pastor Clinton, say, "Hey, listen, this is what I'm feeling, and then you need to, there was like one couple, gosh, I don't know how many years ago they were there, and it was just like the person stood up, the wife did, like the first time they were there, and it was just like oversharing type of thing, almost even, just like they knew everybody. And I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? They were just being well, they ended up trying to hoodoo some people in the church. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Trying to do stuff that, that, yeah. So I pick up on, and I say too that I have discernment, and I think my little subcategory of that I say that I have, and it's just in my own wordings and how I felt, is that I have a creepometer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's been some I'm like, don't let them keep an eye, tell security, keep an eye on them. Do not let them near my kids.
Yeah.
And I've been right.
Yeah. Like if Duke doesn't want somebody to pet him, they're not allowed here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Duke has a creeper
They
meter.
have to pass the Dukes.
Yeah, yeah, you're
So
not
yeah,
good here.
no, there, yeah, we had one, and I made sure that it was not near my kids, or I was very, I mean, he
Mhm.
would like bring big gifts to kids and stuff. I'm like, no,
That's all right. Yeah,
this isn't appropriate. And he moved on to another church, and we heard there were some issues. So
yeah,
you know what I mean? I was like, that's to protect my kids. I'm like, don't let them near
yeah.
my group.
We had a guy try to take over service not long after I joined the security team, and I'm not on the security team anymore. But he tried to take over the service from the congregation. Christine is up there trying to start a song, and he starts hollering out, and I turned around, looked at him, and said, "Hey, buddy, it's not your turn to talk. Like, settle down." And I turned back around, and he says, I'm about the Lord's business. Don't you ever interrupt me, big boy.
Uh,
And I'm like, and Heather's standing beside me, and I'm like, and somehow or another, my mind changed from because he was directly behind me. My mind changed from looking this way. I thought I can make a sandwich out of you, bro. Like, I could eat you, and still be hungry. I turned around. By the time I turned around, I looked at him, and I said, "You're about God's business." Yeah. I said, "God's out of order, and you're out of order." I said, "Let it be that." And and when I turned around, I felt Heather touch me on the side. She's like, she started rubbing my arm.
I'm about to say she's
Yeah,
trying to.
she's doing this. I was, but I turned right around and got in this. I mean, there was a chair between us, but at that
Oh,
moment, it
that
felt
didn't
like
mean
we were
anything.
right here. Yeah. And then I turned back around, and the music was going, and I was thinking, cool, that went so under the radar. You know what I mean? That went so under the radar. We're good. We're good. We're good. I got tackled by like 10 people after church. You handled that so great. We saw it. We were all on the other side. I was like,
You're like, oops, I thought I did that.
I really thought I was discreet. And then that's when, the head of security at that time, and he's still on there. So, I don't want to throw him out, but then he comes, and, hey, Jack, Kay was right beside you. Well, I don't know if say his wife, man. And we you handled that very well, abrupt, and you have a presence about you, so you know who I'm going at
I
here.
know who you're talking about.
but,
I knew before you even
but
other
that,
name slipped. But yeah.
yeah, but that was really. But anyway, everybody was appreciative of how it went
Yeah.
down. Christine even hit it later. She's like, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to stop. I was like, no, never stop.
Never stop. Keep
Never
going.
give that person.
No, don't give them what they
give them
want.
their platform. So where do you see? And you may not be this person that has the ambition. I'm not saying that you're not ambitious, but I'm always looking down the road. I'm always saying where is next. In fact, the only time I didn't do that was when I started seminary. People are, what are you gonna do with this? What are you gonna do with this? I was like, I'm gonna finish it.
Yep.
They're like, then what? I was like, no idea.
Like, God called me to go to this.
Yeah.
He'll direct me where.
When I
I
took
felt sure
on
I was
the
sorry. I felt sure I was staying at Cedarwood with what I was doing, but God called me to get that degree, and I'm like, God will show me what to do with that.
Yeah.
And from that, I have been working on the biblical counseling part of it. So, as far as I think where the question was leading, I see that doing more of the counseling and stuff, and it is children's and families. So it's not just for the kids; it's for adults as well. Or if it needs to be a family that so far I haven't had like a family. I've had women I have counseled. I have children I have counseled. But it's definitely open if it's something that a family needs to come together and we need to talk together, and then maybe talk separate. So I am going that way,
So
that route.
we both have master's degrees, right? That opens up like collegiate level stuff. But people were asking me, my boy's playing the game. He'll probably hear it. He'll be all right. This
And the
is a
dog
home.
snoring.
I have dogs and kids. It's okay. But when I did the internship at the church, I had to. That was one of my classes. Like it said I had to find a church that would send out an internship, or I had to talk to them, and they would assign me someone. So thank God, Pastor Clint was like, "Nope, let's do it."
Do it
and
here.
then when the class ended, he said I could stay on as an intern. And that's how that I came in, and it wasn't until I still wasn't 100% sure what I was going to do from there. But now I know that there's a time span of expanding our sanctuary and filling that sanctuary up before I do anything. I know that I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years.
Right.
But I know I'm there. Now I've also been curious. Like, so my bachelor's degree is construction management. All right, I've been in construction. I was 14 years old. I know the ins and outs of the commercial construction industry. So like I've looked into, like, are there, what do they call that where you teach remotely, correspondence courses or whatever?
Right.
I've looked in to see if there's anything like that with this master's degree that would open up to me, that would give me opportunities to do other things, supplement income, and just see what's out there, what's available. It's not a lot. It's not for, I guess, like for my combination of stuff: bachelor's construction management, master's divinity and Christian ministries, which is why, by the way, my degree is very wide, very very umbrella, and I did that on purpose because you know if I could have specialized, like if originally I was going to do apologetics, but you know
Mhm.
what you do with an apologetics degree? YouTube,
Mm.
about it. No, any degree would have had you, you know, like guy's degree from seminary. Of course, he can preach and teach and do
Right.
stuff like that. But I went broad.
Mhm.
Um, but I do have ambitions one day of being a senior pastor
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Whether God keeps me at Cedarwood till Pastor Clint retires and the church sees fit that I take on. I'm not banking on that. Usually, the guy sitting at the kids table don't get to sit at the head chair. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's very hard for some people to get over that.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We know John. He started school here. And
Yeah.
that may be what I get. It may not.
Yeah. Never
But
know. Yeah.
I'm not. I am not
Things will change
there.
in that
I
time
know
too. Yeah.
that while I have that ambition and I have that desire right now,
Mhm.
I'm connections minister, connections pastor, whichever word I'm supposed to use right now. Um, yeah, you get that.
Yeah.
Um, but and I'm going to serve this to the best of my ability,
Right.
regardless of who upset me that day or whatever.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
So you obviously have a different inside of this association. Of course, you could step outside of this association and do whatever.
Mhm.
But inside of this association, do you think of, okay, I'm a child and family minister with a master's degree, and I'm sitting at a small church in Waterloo, South Carolina.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't even want to be putting thoughts in your head, but is that never things that you've or something you don't want to talk about now? That's fine.
No. No.
But is that something like, you know what, with what I have now, I could break into one of those bigger churches. I could be more widespread. Or are you just like, hey, no, I'm
Yeah.
where God has me?
Yeah. I feel I'm where I'm supposed to be. Do I have I thought about like bigger churches and stuff? I really haven't.
Yeah.
Because I know where we're located because we would like to, I like to stay where I am. I've lived here my whole life. It's not that I'm object to moving or anything. When Fuji shut down, I was realization we might have to move. We might have to go to another state, but we were able to still stay here and stuff. So, I'm not against it, but I just don't think that way because I think, I don't quote me for sure on this, but I think I'm one of few full-time children's ministers around.
I would say it's you from one the
You
outside
know,
looking in. It looks like it's pastor, associate pastor, youth minister, and then everybody else just kind of
and a lot of times youth ministers or even,
yeah.
part-time and stuff. So I think I am one of the few full-time children's family ministers or even just children's in the area. So I mean, I would have to like go bigger city
Mhm.
type of thing, I think, to be able to work full time.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing that it's available here in Waterloo, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
You know that to be able to have that.
Well, I credit that to Pastor Clinton Cedarwood, that they invested in that for
Hmm.
it to be full time. I mean, it was initially part time. Actually, part of that changed, and it was totally a God thing. Because there had been some other changes that led up to it when Ron found out that you know Fuji was completely shutting down. I was working part time, and then it came open that somebody that was working full time was stepping down.
Hmm.
So they gave me the full time hours and that. So I do
Hmm.
also do like communications now too to kind of, but I think as the years have gone too, I think I do enough as far as the children's and stuff too that it's really full time.
Yeah.
But I do, also being full time staff. So I do communications, I do other things because I am full time.
Right.
So that was just a God thing, that opening that allowed me to go from part time to full time while Ron's figuring out what's going to happen with him after being at Fuji for 32 years.
Yeah, and then they just closed. Yeah, it's one of the first construction sites I ever worked on.
Really?
Yep, Fuji.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Um. So we're getting up against a clock here. To be honest with you, if you go more than about 30 minutes or so, people
They're
quit
like,
listening.
eh.
Yeah. So to wrap up here, what is something you would throw out? Where is your heart at? Um, that you would want to share with anything right now? If there's a group of people you think you should say something to, or nothing like nothing, and it doesn't have to be anything right now. But if I'm always telling people right now, choose God, and
Mm-hmm.
understand that choosing God is more than just your salvation question. Whenever
Right.
items are presented to you in life, there's always God or not God.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of where I try to encourage people right
Yeah.
now.
think it's my thing, especially from my position and stuff. It's just to encourage families that be in church, to have your kids in church, that and it just means so much to the families, just the connections and the building up the family and supporting the family. And I know we talked about Chris and stuff earlier. Chris and Caitlin, they were just kind of looking around. Uh, we do the Good News Club at Waterloo Elementary. We were able to send out an invite to all the kids at the school for our Halloween trunk or treat event, and they came. And they came that next Sunday, and I don't think they've stopped coming.
Right.
And just to see how, and Caitlin's kind of quiet and shy and stuff, and how she's opened up, and just how that whole family's come together,
And
and
Chris
just
dances on stages.
yes. Well, I don't think he ever had a problem with that, but he tries to dance and tries to sing. No. But just that importance, just the connections that you can make and the support that it gives your family. Um,
Get connected.
yeah, just
That's
get
my
connected.
role. You show up there,
That's right. He'll connect you.
and I'll figure out how to get you where you're supposed to be in there. I tell people, it's like, you want to ask me where you fit in women's ministries? I don't know, but I can tell you who can tell you.
That's right. Just come on, we'll find where you.
So this has been fun. Did you enjoy this?
I did. I really did.
I
I didn't
enjoyed
know
it
what to
too. So
expect. I was a little like, oh, am I going to
yeah,
do this?
no, as I said, it's no pressure.
Yeah.
This is a no pressure situation.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't listen, shame on them. It's their fault.
There you
They're
go.
bad taste. Turn the Bachelor off.
Oh, yeah. Don't watch that.
Cringe. So cringe.
Yes, no. Mm.
All right. Well, I guess if we don't pray, it's not legal.
Okay.
So let's make it legal.
Okay.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for Miss Andrea. Thank you for Cedarwood. Thank you that I get to work and learn and glean from her, Lord. Um, and just continue to bless our church family, Lord, and our unions, as we work together in and out of the church. And just thank you for all things. Thank you for salvation's plan. Thank you for the blood of Jesus, Lord. Thank you for our families, for their growth and strength. And we just continue to give them to you and give you that praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.